Okay. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our weekly board session. It's Wednesday, November 25th, 2020. It's 9 o'clock, and we're here in the center hearing room at 555 Court Street, Northeast in Salem. As always, we start with the Pledge of Allegiance, so if you would please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. We do have somebody sign up for public comment. David Blessman, if you'd please come up, I guess over here.
Pull the microphone in.
And if you could, oh wow, there you are. Yeah, right there is just great. And if you could introduce yourself and
My name is David Blessman. I'm here with my wife Joanne. We live in Silverton, Oregon, and we're here to make a request to the county to not allow industrial power generation systems in a WUI, a wildland interface unit, urban interface, and request that we suspend permitting of said power plants. I have some handouts I'd like to provide and then walk you through the basis of our request. The top sheet is a summary. You'll see our goal, our background, and the specific request. The second sheet is a map of where we live. You'll see the city of Silverton in yellow, an area of blue. It's described in Marion County's Wildfire Community Prevention Plan as an area of concern. You'll see Abaquah Road and South Abaquah Road on that map. And Marion County Planning permitted, conditional use permit to put a industrial power generation plant several hundred feet from the creek, and also in a wildland urban interface area. And we know that's timber. The zoning for this place was farm and timber. The conditions of the permit did not require anything to address fire around timber or the watershed from this facility. The third page in color shows Marion County as a whole. The blue areas are the areas of concern that the county has said are areas of fire. I'm sorry, Ms. Veto, I didn't make enough color copies.
Oh, no worries.
That shows the yellow, which in our opinion is an adequate amount to place these solar facilities or any kind of power generation. So when that came across the street from where we live, 36 neighbors created 2 appeals, and the solar developer withdrew their application. But that could come back at any time. We don't think it's smart to put a power generation unit near timber. The reasons are many. We've got stacks of data to support this. You'll see also in what we've handed you the decision from the county and the copies of the 2 appeals, all the arguments against it, and the names of the people who support this.
okay.
So I'd ask today for you to read carefully the 2 requests on the first page. So I'd like to take back to the folks who are supporting us in being here, our neighbors, what you all think about this, if you'd be willing to consider those particular requests on the first page.
Well, Mr. Busman, I appreciate you coming. We usually don't respond to public comment. It's an opportunity for you to comment to us. When it comes to land use decisions, there's a formal process where we make our decisions as a board. And so if something like this were to come before us, that would be the appropriate place for us to make comments and talk about that. But we definitely have gotten the information. We'll review it, and yeah, we'll take a look at it.
So how do we get it in front of the board? Because if this isn't it, how do we get it in front of the board? Because I want you to think about this for a second. Solar plants cause fires. Walmart sued their contractor because fires started on 240 of their stores. So Walmart put the same style system that the county allowed in Awui on top of 240 stores. It caused fires. They sued and had them all removed. So I'd like to hear the county address this topic, because the people who live in the canyon and the foothills are not interested in power systems that generate fires. I mean, that's going to be self-evident.
So
I'd like to
with
know how to
any,
do something.
yeah, so with any land use decision, the way this would work is if someone were to apply for something like this, it would go first to our staff. They would make a decision. That
We've
decision
experienced,
could be appealed to hearing officer.
which
The
we
hearing,
experienced.
hearings officer would make a decision, and then that decision could be appealed to the Board of Commissioners, and that would be the place where it would be appropriate for us to weigh in on something like this.
So what I'm hearing is that we had, the developer withdrew their application. We wanted to go to the hearing officer. We wanted that time. And the developer pulled their application, so I couldn't get to a hearings officer.
We've taken action on
Okay,
this. Sam, go
Commissioner,
ahead.
Sam.
Well, if I could, and I've had some conversation with Mr. Blessman on the side, and what I would like to happen, I know this isn't normal, but I would like that this material, and Joe Fenimore sitting in the back there, be given to him, have him review it, and then at a probably management update, see what kind of ideas come up, and then take it to a work session, which is more, then it's starting to move through the process, Mr. Blessman. But you also talked about, and I haven't heard here this morning, some other things that you think should be, even if we allow these in these kind of, or in any area. For example, a leakage of, and a corrosion that happens, so we say it's supposed to be monitored, but yet there's no provision to monitor, and then no action if there is really a violation. So could you go over that list of things you were talking about to me?
Yes, and it's all in the two appeals. It details quite well what's not done. Your reflection, Commissioner, is on what your process will do. It's got large holes in it. No fault of planning whatsoever. The process does not protect the watershed. The solar facilities have cadmium in them. They're known to leak. The requirement to put a swale there was designed by flooding, not leakage, not leaching, into not only an SSBT creek, but also into the aquifer where homeowners are there. There's no place in the process to address that. There and a long list of other things. So we've got large watershed issues.
Go ahead.
You've got a large fire risk,
so-
and those are the big ones. There's a long list of little ones, and they're all in the field.
So we appreciate you coming and bringing this material, and I think, and as Commissioner Brentano said, Joe is sitting out there. I just want to clarify, I think we put a stop to all solar facilities.
In the EFU and SA zone.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So.
Can I hear that, please, in the wet zone?
In the EFU and SA zones, we put a stop to any of those coming forward. Let me just, and I want to do what Sam's suggesting. We'll take this material, we'll review it with our planning department. We'll come back, have a work session. We'll notify you when that work session is, so you can be abreast of that and come and be a participant and listen and talk about that. But I want to go back, just I think this is appropriate time so that you know, this whole solar facility issue kind of got thrown upon us by the state, and some things that got passed, 2 or 3 years ago. And it's been, I mean, we weren't even aware of it until some things were coming, and like you, as good citizens, came forward and shared it with us. So we'll take this information, and we'll go back, and we'll have a work session, and we'll notify you when that work session is. And I think that's the appropriate way to process it.
And
So
I'm not interested in getting back into solar and farms. I know that was difficult. This is about solar in the forest.
Right, we got it.
Okay, and the watershed. And then the process that's in the division's area might subsequently be reviewed too. I hope, Council, you'll read the appeals written by attorneys that reflect serious concerns, but the large one is wildfire and watershed.
We'll make sure the process is reviewed.
Mr. Chair, if I may, it sounds like what is being sought here is a review of our rural code. What it sounds like is being sought here is a review of a code provision, I think it's 17-139, And so I think that would be what would be brought to the board session, would be whether that provision allowing solar arrays in FU land is, or in forest timberland would be, continue to be permitted. I think that's what's being asked here.
Okay.
Great.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, we have Katrina Rothenberger with the COVID-19 update.
Good morning.
Good morning,
Katrina Rothenberger, Public Health Division Director for Marion County Health and Human Services. As of today, November 11th, we have had 8,649 cases of COVID-19 in Marion County. 135 people have died, and 82,049 people have been tested. For the week of November 15th through the 21st, there were 643 positive tests out of 3,660. We've been consistently doing between 3,000 and 4,000 tests per week. And then this week we heard that Oregon Health Authority will be reporting the COVID tests differently. So previously they counted just the person, and now they're counting every test. And so if one person tests negative 5 times, we would only report that one person's test results. So now with the test-based calculation, there is an expectation that the overall test positivity rate for the state will go down. We're not sure how much or what that will look like yet. We will be working on our data dashboard and our data packet to reflect those changes once we have those metrics available to us. We are hearing some positive news about the possibility of a vaccine this year, and I found out yesterday that we potentially may see a small number of doses for frontline healthcare workers by mid-December. This would be a very limited supply distributed to those healthcare workers on the front lines, and we're still in the process of finalizing our vaccine distribution plan. And we've heard about 3 different vaccines with a 90% effective rate or better. And we anticipate a larger scale rollout, probably mid-2021 of these vaccines. They're currently working on their emergency use authorization through the FDA. And then due to the increased cases in Marion County, we have moved to surge guidance for our case investigation and contact tracing team. What we're doing is we're shortening the length of the interview. We're asking fewer questions, but still getting at the important ones, like do you work in a congregate care setting? Do you live in a congregate care setting? Daycare, all of the underlying health conditions, the important questions, and trying to limit our interactions with people so we can get through more phone calls. We're calling people once instead of 3 times, and then sending a text and a letter. And then we're also not calling people who are in quarantine every single day. We're just going to call them at the beginning and then at the end with instructions, and just talk to one person in the household and not call everybody in the household, which is what we were previously doing. So we're hoping that will decrease the amount of time that we're spending, enabling us to call more people. And then we have been holding weekly testing events. We've had a really good response from our community and have been asking for more tests available. So on Monday, we tested about 45 people, and we're looking to increase our capacity to do around 60 or 70 people on these Mondays at the fairgrounds. The next one will be November 30th from 11 to 1 at the fairgrounds in Salem, and that will be posted on our Marion County webpage. OHA also has a website for how to find out about local testing providers and clinics in your area. And then we're also partnering with the University of Oregon to do weekly testing events beginning in January, from January through August. And we're still working on trying to identify some locations throughout Marion County. We're hoping for some locations in areas that we haven't necessarily been to very much so far, like Jefferson and East Marion County areas. And then I do want to thank our partners. We've had a tremendous response from Woodburn Ambulance, Falk, Santiam Hospital to get testing in our community and responding to outbreaks. There are so many other partners that are doing such a wonderful job. I just wanted to mention those three today. They've just gone above and beyond to assist us with more testing and responding to these congregate settings that need our support. And then because tomorrow's Thanksgiving, I want to thank our whole public health team and express my gratitude for the countless hours they've been putting in since March. We've been staffing every single day. Many people haven't taken their holidays. We have 122 people responding to COVID in Marion County, and most of those people are doing the interviews and contact tracing. So I just want to express my heartfelt gratitude to them and hope everyone has a safe and healthy Thanksgiving this week. So, thank you.
Katrina, I know your people, you know, I could cite names of people who put in 70, 80 hours a week working on this, and hopefully they'll be able to take some time off over Thanksgiving to, we obviously are thankful for them. One of the things I want to start to encourage people, it's the DYOCT is the acronym, whatever that stands for. Sam, what does it stand for?
I don't know that.
Diocit or something, right? I don't know. Do your own contact tracing.
Oh.
Yeah.
I've never heard of it before. but thank you.
Well, I was thinking about this. It's like, okay, as I see the percentages of our contact tracing being able not to call everybody in 100%, where we were doing a great job, but because the curve's going like this, you know, those people that are watching, do your own contact tracing. If you, and Sam, you talked about it the other day, you know, you have a relative that's been exposed, they need to call and say, hey, we were, you know, and I think, Katrina, maybe you could talk about the details, but if somebody is tested positive, they need to go back 2 days before they felt the symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
And any situations, think about recreating any situations that they were in with people, and make sure they contact those people and say, hey, I've tested positive. 2 days before I felt the symptoms was this date, and go back and say, I was with X, Y, and Z in those situations, and contact those people and let them know so that they could self-isolate and potentially go get tested if they want to. Can you share a little bit about that if you're do your own contact tracing, DYOCT?
Do your own contact tracing. I love it. You know, that's how people are finding out, because we do call a few days after someone gets their positive test result, because then the lab has 24 hours to report it to us, and then we have 24 hours to call the person. And we are a little bit behind right now. And so people who are getting their positive results, and we see this every day, oh, my friend called me and said they tested positive for COVID, what should I do? So we do get those calls from people who have been notified by their friends or family, which is great. So I think that's a really good message to put out there to folks, to just, you know, if you do have signs and symptoms, tell the people that you are around so they can do what's best for themselves and their families.
But 2 days before those symptoms
Yes.
is what the rule of
Yes,
thumb is.
that
Okay, I
is
just wanted to make
correct.
sure that was accurate.
You know, you brought out, Katrina, that just, I was waiting to hear an answer, so people call you, what are we supposed to do? Would you just say it out loud? I can make some things up, but what do you tell people?
Yeah, so if someone says, oh, I've been contacted by my friend who tested positive for COVID, we'll ask them, okay, when did they test positive? When did they start feeling sick? We'll tell them to quarantine for 14 days after their last exposure to that person. And if they start to feel sick, then we'll ask them to encourage them to seek testing.
I'm going to interrupt you there. Can you help direct them so they'll be able to get a test? I've asked that question about every week, but would you do that, and would you help set that up?
Yes.
Okay.
We would give them locations for different facilities to go get tested at for one of our testing events. And it's also important for people to understand, too, that after you were exposed and you go get tested that day, it's probably not going to be super accurate. You want to wait about 5 days after you were exposed so that test is more accurate. If I was exposed today and went and got a test, there wouldn't be enough time for the virus to really replicate inside of me and show up on a test.
Do you give any advice, for example, so I get the sore throat, have been exposed, would you tell them what to watch for when you need to seek medical help, et cetera? Do you talk about that?
Absolutely, yeah. We provide health education on the signs and symptoms. If your symptoms become unmanageable, that's when you would want to seek care from your doctor or hospital. But we really want folks who are able to manage their symptoms, sore throat, headache, fatigue, at home.
Okay, thank you.
Katrina, we had talked about maybe having some testing events at our health department location. Is that still on the table or?
Yeah,
pushed
so
out?
we decided for the winter months to move it to the fairgrounds.
Okay.
So we will be doing those weekly on Mondays.
Okay, great. Anything else? Thank you, Katrina. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving.
Next up, we have Lisa Miller, and also Josh and Hank, obviously, here with the LEAD program. Good morning, Lisa.
Good morning. For the record, Lisa Miller, Marion County Sheriff's Office. I am the program coordinator for the Law Enforcement Assisted Diversion Program, or LEAD for short. Thank you so much for having us here this morning. I have with me a couple of our LEAD navigators and a special guest. I'll let them introduce themselves when it's their time. But we just wanted to come forward this morning and give you a brief update, progress report from the program itself to let you know how we're doing. We just provided you with a copy of, I think it's like 10 pages, and we're not going to go through all of the information in the report. If you have any questions about it, I'm happy to answer that. But this program really is about the people that it serves, and so we want to spend most of our time being able to share their stories with you and let you know what this program is really doing to change lives every day. This is really a collaborative program. Marion County Sheriff's Office is one of the partners, but we also are working very closely with our Salem Police Department, Marion County Health and Human Services, the Marion County District Attorney's Office, and City of Salem Attorney's Office. These are the primary partners that are helping to keep this program, making sure that we're staying in line with our goals and moving forward. And it just wouldn't be happening without them. It's a tool for law enforcement officers. It's an opportunity for them to actually provide that connection for individuals who seem to be really stuck in this cycle of the criminal justice system, this revolving door. These are individuals who are not violent offenders. They're not a danger to our community. They're individuals who are usually suffering from a lot of trauma, crisis, things in their life that are just really piling up, and the criminal behavior that is taking place is oftentimes fueled by these stressors in their life. So it's an opportunity for our officers to not arrest them, but actually connect them with the resources that can help them get through those situations. So a little bit about how our program has grown over the last 2 years, starting back in April of 2018. When this report was put together, we had 64 active individuals in the program. It's still growing. COVID kind of hit us a little hard. So you can see a little flat rate right there where our referrals were coming in, but we're definitely increasing our referrals now. The individuals that are being referred to the program, 99% of them have some type of addiction. 59% were unsheltered. 85% were unemployed. Oftentimes it's a combination of these factors that are really weighing them down. And it's really a lot for one person to deal with, and you throw that, put them into the criminal justice system, and it really makes things even more difficult. So that's where our program comes in, and that's where our LEAD navigators can really help them navigate the systems. So our performance measures, we actually are tracking our progress through client assessments. They have an initial assessment when they first come into the program, and then every 6 months after that. We're seeing some really great successes so far with those individuals that are staying active in the program. These performance measures are based on 30 that were actively participating for at least 6 months or a year. Seeing great increases in housing and employment with our clients, decrease in drug use, and feelings of hopelessness, and their quality of life is definitely improving because of their involvement with our program. We also are looking at crime rates. We continue to monitor this because really reducing the number of contacts they're having with our police is really important, and so we're continuing to monitor that. We're preliminary, we're seeing more than a 50% reduction in the number of contacts that these individuals are having with our police, which is wonderful. And the contacts that they're having with the police are actually positive contacts, because that's one of the effects of the program, is that it's this relationship building. The police are not out there trying to they're not against them. It's a partnership now, and our clients are realizing that the police are actually there really encouraging them and really wanting them to succeed. Which is why we have Deputy Spoon in the back as well, who's going to silently sit back there. But he is here because his client is the one who's actually going to tell her story today. And so he plays a very big part in her story. So I have to call him out. And I'm not going to go through these stories because we do have a real client here that's actually going to tell her story. But these are included in your report as well. You can read through those. But I need to hand it off to our navigators, because that's where our magic happens. This is how these results are coming to fruition, because once the officers are handing them over to the navigators are the ones that are walking hand in hand with these clients and helping them with these difficulties that they're having. So I'm going to hand it over to Josh Lair, and he can talk a little bit about what he does.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Josh Lair, and I have been with the Marion County Law Enforcement Assisted Diversion Program. March 26 will be 3 years, so 4 months shy of being with this program for 3 years. During that time, I've got to see so many positive and some negative results of individuals' actions. But one of the greatest things that we get to do is, once law enforcement makes that contact with us and we get to respond, we get to create a goals list, what it is that is going to create a better way of living for our clients. And, some of the things that, they want to do is, get sober, get housed, get off the streets, connect with family, So typically we get to start making some phone calls with clients and walking side by side with them through this process. And, we've established some really cool links within the community, places like Soaring Heights, which is a sober living agency here in town that has a couple sober living houses, Oxford, which is another one, and we get to help individuals, get into treatment so that they can get clean and sober, so that they can, get off the streets and into housing. We get to walk hand in hand with them as they go to court. Some of them, it's, the first time that they've gone to court on the actual time they're supposed to be in court ever in their life. We get to go to doctor's appointments. We've had several clients that, due to making that interaction with a primary care, we had one that was able to find out that they had cancer and get that issue resolved because they caught it early enough. We've had several clients that, had no idea that they, were ever going to be able to see their children, and now have their children. The most recent and coolest thing that I ever got to be a part of was a male client that we got, and one of his things was that he wanted to take responsibility for 2 of his children. And I asked him, what does that mean? And he says, well, DHS has my kids, and they have no idea that I'm the father, and I want to be a father. And so I got to go with him to DHS to report to the DHS office that he was the dad, sign legal paperwork, an affidavit that he was the father, and then walk over to child support. And he stood there and told them that he was the father of these 2 children. It blew them away so much they had to get 2 supervisors involved to find the actual paperwork in order to start that process, because it's just something, I guess, that's not done that often. those are some of the things that we get to do. I'm super thankful to be a part of LEAD and what it does in this community. I'm blessed to be a part of it. And I'm going to shut up because the main thing is here, and she gets to tell her story. But I get to introduce Hank Crabser, Hank did all of his internship with me, and then we hired him on, which was a smart move by the county. So.
Good morning. Thank you for, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know if that mic's on.
Good morning. Thank you for having us here today. My name is Hank Crabser. I'm a navigator with the LEAD program. I have been with the program for a little over a year and a half, and after growing up in this community and spending 30 plus years in active drug addiction and in and out of prison and jail, I'm so thankful that I get to give back to our community today by doing the work that I get to do with this program. I'm blessed to be a part of this amazing program. There is another story to share this morning, and it's directly from one of our clients. Her life has changed drastically since she entered the program a little over a year ago, and she's here to share her experience in LEAD with you this morning.
Yeah, I would use that one. Yeah.
Hi,
Really
my name's
close.
Jennifer. I've been in the LEAD program for about 18 months now. Prior to being in the LEAD program, I had warrants, I was homeless, I was in 3 different counties, all the way in Hood River. I was addicted to drugs. I really had no hope. I didn't want to live anymore. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to pull myself out. And then I made contact with Hank and was accepted into the LEAD program. And that was probably one of the best things that's ever happened to me. They have drove me all the way to Hood River County to attend court several times, Lynn County to attend court several times. They've advocated for me in court, helped me get housing. I have my daughter now full-time. We are in our own apartment. I have over a year clean. I'm in the 3rd phase of drug court in Marion County. My life is just completely different. I never thought that I would be going with Hank to meet Officer Spoon to take that warrant away. I thought I was going to jail for sure. And since that moment, things have been different. I've ran a few times from them, given them trouble, but I'm glad that they had faith in me and hope, and they helped me. They never turned me away. I would wonder if I was still in the LEAD program, and Hank would be like, "Once you're in, you're in," and that was the most. I don't even know how to explain it. The coolest thing ever, because I've never had anything like that before. So I'm grateful to be in this program, and thank you for all the help that it's done. Yeah.
Thank you. Your name's Jennifer?
So we know that LEAD is here because of your support and your assistance in bringing the program to the county, and we are very grateful that we are able to provide it to the community. So if you have any questions.
Thank you, Lisa. I'm sure we have a lot to say. Commissioner, do you want to start off?
Well, Jennifer, thank you. And I know I've done some time with Hank, not literally time. and Josh, but this is an example. To me, it's a biblical example of repentance, mercy, and grace. And it's a perfect timing to have this presentation today, Thanksgiving. You have a lot to be thankful for, all of us here. And it's been a tough year for everybody. And some of our our peaks and valleys that we go through are, some of those valleys are wider and longer to get out of, and some of those peaks are higher. But it's an example of when people really have a heart of love to make sure that people get the chances that they need. You know, how many times, and it's great to hear your story. And I wish that we could, and I know Danielle, Commissioner-elect Bethel, is sitting out there, and I know she's going to bring some really good things. I know Commissioner Willis and I will be together for the next 2 years, and Sam's leaving, but we've all appreciated the work that's going on, and I wish we could, every 300 plus citizens in Marion County could hear this story today of the good things that do happen, because so much of what they get to hear is in the newspaper, and that story is not necessarily on the front page. So thank you. Hank, Josh, Jennifer, and the least we can do is try to find the resources to continue this program, which is going to be difficult in the future because this has been grant-driven, and there's a lot of competing programs for that. But yeah, forgiveness, mercy, grace, and repentance. That's what the example we just heard about.
Anything, Commissioner?
Well, I can't add much to that, but the story to me makes it all worthwhile and just be that simple. And I hope you can find ways to keep it up for other people's benefits and futures.
I am really grateful for this program. I think you guys know that. This is, when I go to work here, this is something that I'm just awfully proud of. I just think of this program and the work that you guys do, and I just think, you know, any county with a program like this has to be a good county. And I know I've said this to you, Josh and Hank, but Jennifer, I also want to thank you, because I think sometimes, you know, I have a couple of kids, and when you're just working on your own family, you can wonder whether it has any impact in your community, but it does. It's super important. And I know I've said this to Josh, that like his work, you know, getting out of addiction and focusing on his kids, it's had all these benefits to our whole community. He wouldn't be where he is now helping all of us if he didn't do that initial work, you know. And in some ways, that's the hardest work. The hardest work is the beginning, focusing just on trying to get healthy yourself, trying to work on some of the things that seem like really big barriers. It's almost easier, you know, to once you've done that really hard work, to go help other people with it than it is doing that initially really hard work. So thank you for what you're doing, Jennifer. I don't know if it feels like it, but it does. The work that you've done has had a huge impact in our community, even just over the last year or two. It's been really important for all of us because we need you. Just like we need Josh, and just like we need Hank, and just like we need Kevin and Sam and Lisa, and all of us are really, really important to this community. And that's one of the things that I think about when I think about the folks that we're trying to serve who are living on the streets or struggling with addiction. I think sometimes a person in that situation can feel like they're not important or they don't matter to the community. And you can just see how important they are when somebody like Josh does get to work and starts up and works on this LEAD program. All of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, this person wasn't unimportant. This person was profoundly important to our community and all the lives that he's been able to affect. So I just want to reiterate that and thank you for your work because it's super important. And I also want to recognize our undersheriff over there and Lisa and Deputy Spoon too, because this really is a team sport and all of us have a role to play, and sometimes it's harder to be Lisa, you know, where it's sort of like she has to deal with all the administrative stuff, and as somebody who has to deal with administrative stuff all the time, you know, it's that can be something that you have to get up every day and go look at another one of those contracts and go, you know, try to push the gears of government, you know, but that's what allows this to happen. So thank you,
Well, I get
Lisa.
teased. I like the numbers, so I'm in the perfect spot. I have it easy.
God bless you. So thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you, Deputy Spoon, and thank you, Undersheriff, and everybody that's been involved with this program. This really has been a team effort, and I'm just privileged to get to walk in and see what good work you guys are doing. So thank you. Really appreciate it. Okay. We got our consent agenda. Commissioner
We
Brentano,
need
is
a
this your?
motion.
Yes, it
Before we
is.
do that, we gotta,
Do you have a motion? Oh,
Yeah.
we have to
I'll
remove
just
something from the
do
agenda. Okay, you want to tackle that?
I'll just remove
Go
it.
ahead.
Okay.
Chair Wilson, I'd like to make a motion that we remove an action item from the agenda. It's under Health and Human Services, considering approval of a contract with public partnerships for fiscal intermediate services for economic stimulus funding to Marion County. Just as a comment, apparently it needs more work, not numbers quite firmed up, so it'll come back.
and I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. We have to remove this action item from our agenda. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. The motion passes.
And there, now Chair Willis, I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent calendar this morning. In it, under Public Works, received notice of a hearings officer's decision that approves conditional use case 20030 Bridges RV Storage Incorporated. Approve an order converting the Brooks Water Infrastructure loan into a grant, forgiving the repayment of the residual balance in the amount of $29,250.51 and converting the balance into an interfund transfer. Tax Office approve an order for a property tax refund in the amount of $24,930 to Lynn Clapp. Treasurer's Office approve an order decreasing the change fund from $350 to $150 for the Marion County Health and Human Services Clinic. And the final, approve an order for the distribution of Oregon State Forestry timber revenue in the amount of $15,701.87 as per ORS Chapter 530.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
Yeah, just, Mr. Chair, if I may, that 29,000, and I see Dennis is here. I think that was for the loan we made to the Brooks for the pump and the repairs of that Chemeketa water supply about a year ago or so. And it's good to see that we're able to help that water district out with that, so that forgiveness. Thank you.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes. Okay, now we have Brandon, and we're going to receive and consider an appeal of the hearings officer decision approving floodplain greenway case number 20-003, Marion County Friends of Historic Butteville, and consider scheduling a public hearing.
Good morning, Commissioners. For the record, Brandon Reich, Building and Planning Division Manager at Public Works. The item before you today is a request for a floodplain and greenway permit to install a dock and gangway in the identified 100-year floodplain of the Willamette River at Butteville Landing. The Marion County Hearings Officer conducted a public hearing on this application on June 18, 2020, and on September 9th issued a decision approving the request. On September 24th, the Hearings Officer's decision was appealed to the Board. The appeal was filed by a representative of neighboring property owners who disagree with the hearings officer's decision. The document filed with the county clerk by the appellant disagrees with conclusions the hearings officer made and with the evidence that was accepted into the record at the applicant's final rebuttal. The board has the following options: accept the appeal and remand the matter back to the hearings officer, accept the appeal and schedule a public hearing. The suggested hearing date is December 9th, 2020. In order to meet the statutory timeline. Deny the appeal and uphold the hearings officer's decision approving the request. Based on the information in the appeal, staff recommends that the board accept the appeal and schedule a public hearing for December 9th. The 150-day deadline for making a decision on this is up January 21st, 2021. With that, I'm available for any questions you may have.
Any questions? Yeah, please.
Well, I'm going to be opposed to accepting it, but why do you recommend that we do hold a public hearing? Is there some matter that hasn't been brought out or some point of fact? This has been a contentious area for decades. And actually, this is what we talked about happening there. So why would you recommend we accept the public hearing?
I think it was unclear what evidence was brought into the record by the hearings officer that the appellants are arguing was improper, and that would give the chance for them to clear that up and address that. It's also an opportunity for the applicants to provide any additional means to meet any neighboring concerns about how they could operate that right of way.
Commissioner, if I may, I had somebody reach out to me via email to try to talk to me about this, and I said that an appropriate place for them to provide information to the board would be at a public hearing.
It would be.
Well, yeah, and I think didn't they have the appropriate place was at the hearing?
They've had a chance,
With the hearings officer?
Absolutely. They had a full hearing and a hearing officer decision. If the board does not accept the appeal, they have the opportunity to appeal that appellants to LUBA, Land Use Board of Appeals.
And
So they have further appeal opportunity.
that hearing was just held on November 5th, right? Public hearing was held on this appeal on November 5th?
June 18th.
Is
What's-
your perspective
what
is
am
that
I
they've
looking
already
at?
provided the information they provided us?
What am I looking at? Am I looking at the wrong? Oh, am I looking at the wrong? Oh, it's because I was on the wrong. All right. So there's something that's come up between June and now that they say they have different information? Is that what you're saying, Brandon?
They disagree with some of the aspects of what information the hearings officer considered in the final submittal.
All right.
And they would have an opportunity to argue that at LUBA. If LUBA found there was an error, LUBA could remand that to the county and the hearings officer back to the board, and the board could remand it to the hearings officer to consider whatever aspect LUBA identified.
So, Mr. Chair, you said you got an email. Was there information in that email?
No.
Just what?
They asked for an opportunity to speak with me about this issue, and I said, well, the appropriate place would be at a hearing, and I think
Right.
that it'll be scheduled.
All
But
right. So you committed, you committed at that time, basically?
I talked to Brandon and asked if this would be coming before the board. He said yes, and so then I responded and said that. It sounds like you guys have had conversations about this before I became a commissioner.
Yeah.
3 years.
So, yeah,
Yeah, if I remember right, this is, Sam, isn't this where we went to the ribbon cutting and the Butteville community is trying to improve?
I want to be real careful how
Yeah.
to
Well,
respond,
we're
but
in-
it
we're
is
in a
because I
public
don't want to give
meeting.
any information they could use that I'm prejudiced or whatever. I agree with the hearings officer's decision, and that's where I'll leave it.
So I guess the question for us is we could remand it to the hearings officer and have them present whatever additional information they would like to present to the hearings officer, or we could hold a public hearing and have them present that information to us. Is that right?
I'm not sure there's additional information so much as there's argument, there's an opposition to what the hearings officer found, and the hearings officer and there's also argument that at the final submittal from the applicant, new information was submitted that the hearings officer should not have received and considered. And I was not able to identify what specifically that was.
On page 2 of the order, the hearings officer outlines what information was brought up at the time of the hearing, and then what she considered and what she did not consider.
And so your understanding is that they think that she considered things that she should not have considered? So it's not that they want to provide new information, it's that they think there was information provided that should not have been
Apparently
considered.
something related to the description of the dock, but specifics, I couldn't find specifics on exactly what the appellants are arguing about that.
But, Mr. Chair, I was not contacted. It sounds like you may have said, hey, the best place would be at a public hearing, and I guess I'd want to honor that for our constituents. However, I'm with Commissioner Brentano. I think we need to move this thing forward. So I will, so if you want me, is it a motion, right? It's my motion.
The recommendation is, I guess, for a public hearing, so scheduling a public hearing. So I guess the question would be, do we move forward with that, or do we change it?
So I'll, Mr. Chair, I'll move that we take staff's recommendation and consider an appeal, right? Consider an appeal of the public hearings officer's decision approving the floodplain Greenway case number 20003, Marion County Friends of Historic Butteville, and consider schedule a public hearing for December 9th, 2020.
Would you like me to second that, Commissioner Matano?
I won't, so.
Okay, I'll second the motion. We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that motion passes. Oh, do you want to say?
No.
Those opposed? Excuse me. Okay. Thank you, Marion.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Okay, Lindsay, are you here? We're going to consider adoption of administrative ordinance granting zone change comprehensive plan, case number 20-003, Baki Builders Home Exit LLC, 25 Years LLC, Gene M. Miller Family Trust, and Harlan R. Miller Trust.
Good
morning.
Here. It seems a little easier. Good morning, Commissioners. For the record, this is Lindsay King. This item before you today is an application to change a comprehensive plan designation from special agriculture to commercial, and to change the zone from special agriculture to commercial on approximately 21 acres collectively at this 5600 block of Gaffin Road, Southeast Salem. The hearings officer held a public hearing on August 13th, 2020, and on September 22nd issued a recommendation that if conditions are met, that the board approve the goal exceptions, comprehensive plan amendment, and zone change. The board held duly noted public hearing on the application on October 21st and considered the planning division file, the hearings officer's recommendation, all arguments of the parties, and is otherwise fully advised in the premise and approved the request. The ordinance and findings have been prepared, and notice of adoption was given on November 18th, 2020. The administrative ordinance is now set for formal adoption. The board has the options of adopting the ordinance as written, direct staff to prepare a modified ordinance, or choose not to adopt the ordinance at this time. Staff recommends the board adopt the attached ordinance as written, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions for Lindsay?
No, for me.
I have no questions, so if appropriate, Chair Willis, I'd make a motion, we do adopt the administrative ordinance to grant zone change comprehensive plan case 20-003 MF Baki Builders Home Exit LLC, 25 years LLC, Gene M. Miller Family Trust, and Harlan R. Miller Family, Harlan R. Miller Trust.
You got it?
I think so.
Okay.
Got a
I'll
lot of
second
it.
the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
Yeah, I'll just give you discussion.
think-
So these steam up, and if you have them too low, you can't read, so pardon me.
I thought maybe it was the orange glow on your glasses
No,
that
that's
you
all
were
good.
having a hard time with.
That's very pleasant, relaxing, but that's what's happening.
All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Lindsay.
Lindsay. Thanks for your work on that.
Have to put up with us.
Okay, Dennis, you're up. We're going to consider approval of purchase order with Withnell Dodge in the amount of $249,574.86 for the purchase of 9 light-duty vehicles for the sheriff's office.
I must say the struggle is real. I have to take my glasses off because they'll fog up as I'm talking to you. For the record, I'm Dennis Mansfield. I'm the Administrative Division Manager for Public Works. Yes, just a little context for our light-duty fleet program. All of the other funds and departments pay a monthly lease rate for light-duty vehicles. That helps pay for the maintenance cost and actually the future replacement of that vehicle. This program was started in 2009 via a study they called a Mercury study. It was a third-party organization that came in to help manage the fleet for Public Works. And since then, we've been continuing that program. When we look at the replacement of vehicles, we look at several factors, including age, maintenance costs, mileage, and reliability of that vehicle. And so the PO in front of you, purchase order in front of you right now to with Nell Dodge is to replace 9 of the sheriff's office vehicles. And it is staff's recommendation to approve that purchase order.
Okay, are there any questions for Dennis?
And here,
No, I remember we had this discussion, was it a year ago or so, about
Buying local
buying
cars.
some local
Somewhere in
stuff? It's good
Milwaukee,
to
so
see
pretty
some.
happy.
I looked into that, but you know what? At the back of your packet, it shows it's still a state price agreement that they went with. So
Right.
I looked, I was
But-
wondering if they did something other than they did before,
But it is good to see a local name on
Yeah.
the deal. So, Mr. Chair, I'll move that we approve a purchase order with Nell Dodge in the amount of $249,574.86 for the purchase of 9 light-duty vehicles for the Sheriff's Office as part of our annual scheduled light-duty replacement plan of the Marion County Consolidated Fleet Management.
second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes. Dennis, you're still up. We're going to
Yes.
consider purchase order of a dump truck.
Yes,
love
Commissioners.
these. This
Little
is my
deja
favorite
vu, we were
part.
here a few weeks ago asking for the same thing. We put a hold on the second one to kind of see how some costs were coming out. We've been monitoring the roads fund very closely due to this less gas tax that we're receiving related to COVID-19. And so we did some pencil sharpening and determined that we can move forward with this second purchase that was budgeted. And so it's staff's recommendation to purchase this dump truck, which will actually replace an older 1990, I think, 8 dump truck. So one that's been in place for quite a while. So.
Said this before, but one of the things I never thought I would do as a commissioner was buy dump trucks. But the 6-year-old boy in me loves it every time. Commissioner Newsham.
All right, Chair Wilson, make a motion, we approve a purchase order with McCoy Freightliner of Portland in the amount of $192,452 for the purchase of 1 dump truck as part of Public Works Continuing Equipment Replacement Plan.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. Okay, we are going to recess as a Board of Commissioners and reconvene as a Contract Review Board and consider an order approving the justification for non-competitive procurement to utilize CARES Act funding, Public Partnerships LLC in the amount up to $5 million. Morning, Camber.
Good morning, Commissioners. It's nice to see you again. Camber Schlag, Contracts and Procurement Manager in the Finance Department. So as you know, I was here last week requesting a $3 million sole source justification for a contract with Public Partnerships LLC to be a fiscal intermediary, to distribute stimulus payments to businesses located within Marion County. I am back today requesting an increase from $3 million to $5 million through CARES Act to distribute these funds to the businesses located within Marion County. You do have a justification before you that falls under our Marion County Public Contracting Rules, Section 20-0275, which is sole source. Over the week, we did not receive any protests for the $3 million sole source that we have posted. No protests were received. So no data has changed. We are still looking to distribute the economic stimulus funds to an estimated 2,000 businesses located within Marion County. The Public Partnership LLC was awarded a contract in May of 2020 that the Health Department did issue a competitive request for proposals on. Only 2 proposals were received, and the Public Partnership was the highest ranking proposal. Do you have any questions for me today?
Nope. This is done because we got more money from the state than we expected,
Correct.
right?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's why you have to increase the amount. Anything else, Commissioners? No. Okay.
I'll go ahead and make the motion, and I'll have some comments. Mr. Chair, I'll move that we approve an order approving the justification for non-competitive procurement to utilize CARES Act funding for Public Partnerships LLC in the amount of up to $5 million from the previous amount of $3 million to provide fiscal mediator services to restaurants, warehouses, commissioners, mobiles, pools, and additional businesses located in Marion County for economic stimulus funding, and with the term ending December the date of December 1st, 2020 through December 31st, 2021.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I
Please.
still, you know, this is off of this contract. I looked at, I still want to go back and see how much CARES Act funding that Multnomah and Washington counties got up front compared to what we got. I mean, they got the, what was it, 220 or 250?
The
got a
entire
lot.
amount.
How much?
They got like
I don't
7
know the
million.
number, just entire.
I
No,
haven't
no,
looked.
no.
No,
This
in the
was-
beginning.
This
In the
was the
beginning,
Yeah.
they
because the
got,
population is over 500,000 people, and yet they're being included in this. And yeah, I pushed back a little bit yesterday with Regional Solutions, and I understand Jody Christensen says, well, I just take care of my region. I said, I got it, but this is about our region. So we will take a look at that and maybe investigate that a little bit further on the CARES Act funding and see if this is an appropriate distribution or not. Not this contract, but the amount that we got, the
Well-
3.55 versus, it could have been 5 million.
Sure.
well, and I also think, you know, we're gonna give some money to some of these businesses that were closed, but it's not gonna be enough to make up
No.
for all the economic pain that they've suffered just in the last 2 weeks. And I think that just needs to be clear to everybody that we're gonna do our part to try to get help to these businesses, but there's not evidence that they spread COVID. We haven't been able to trace even 1% of our cases to these restaurants, and they're being shut down, they're being crushed, and we're gonna give them a little bit of help, but it's not gonna be enough. Okay. Given that discussion, is there any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you, Canberra.
Thank you.
Okay. We
Close
are
the contract
going
review
to
board.
adjourn as contract review board, reconvene as Board of Commissioners, and Commissioner Cameron, would you read the calendar?
Absolutely, Mr. Chair. Looks pretty long considering it's a holiday. Okay, so later today at 11 o'clock, BOC policy meeting here on the 5th floor in the Commissioners Boardroom. Tomorrow is the holiday that we're all thankful for, many blessings that we have. On the 30th, Monday at 9 a.m., management update, Commissioners Boardroom here on the 5th floor, excuse me. Also Monday at 11 a.m., calendar review, or immediately after the management update here in the Commissioners Boardroom on the 5th floor. Monday, November 30th, 2 p.m., Marion County Extension and 4-H Service District meeting, Commissioners Boardroom here on the 5th floor. Tuesday, the 1st of December, wow. Fire update, 8:30 a.m. in the Commissioners Boardroom on the 5th floor here in this building. Also Tuesday at 9:30 a.m., the first work session in quarterly roads and bridges here in the Commissioners Boardroom on the 5th floor. Also Tuesday, busy Tuesday, at 2 p.m., Health and Human Services Policy Group location here on the Commissioners Boardroom on the 5th floor. Wednesday, back here at 9 a.m. Wednesday at 4 p.m., the second FEMA briefing for local officials, Santiam High School gym at 26 Southwest Evergreen Street, Mill City. I don't know, that may end up being Zoom meeting, but then that night, Wednesday the 2nd, Wildfire Recovery Town Hall, location of the Gates Community Church, 470 Gates, 40070 Gates Road, School Road, Gates. And that will be limited to 25 people based on the governor's order for churches, as well as be Facebook Live on our website. And I think we're trying to link up some of the other Detroit Fire Recovery websites as well, or Canyon Fire websites as well. And then, again, so that one's at 5:30, and then we'll have a second town hall at 6:45, same location. Both of those will be limited to 25 people in person and broadcast on Facebook Live.
All right. I noticed that there is, appears to be a uniform that everybody's wearing this morning. Does somebody want to say something about that, or are we
Mr.
just
Chair.
gonna, yeah,
I
please.
have something to say.
No, that's disgusting. That can't be out in
Can you
public.
close, down the?
Go Ducks.
Okay, yeah. Hey, I'll just tell legal counsel with my back to her is I'll
Yeah.
just say there.
So you don't turn to stone.
I always say this about my duck friends and some other friends in my life. There are good people in bad places.
Now, you said.
She is a good person, but she's got a bad thing going on.
I wondered if you were even gonna notice.
Yeah, well, it took me a while.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
but, yeah, there seems to be a theme. Do you want to speak to this?
Well, I was thinking of you in particular. Now, Jean has her own problems. Anybody that's made a conscious decision to go to stinky Eugene, you can't deal with that.
Right.
But you didn't know. It was a little misguidance, but it wasn't an active decision. So,
Do you have hope for me, is what
I
you're saying?
do.
Okay.
And I brought you
This
for
is
the
good.
day, or actually for the weekend, this antique beaver thing, so you
Wow,
could,
so I could fit in.
you could either put it on
Right,
your
'cause you
car or
wouldn't-
your desk, but I
Wow,
didn't
look
want
at
you to
that.
feel
That's
left
pretty good.
out.
That's pretty good. I appreciate that. So, just, I do feel like I have a responsibility.
Well, I know, you deserve to be on the side of truth and decency.
I do. I have a responsibility, I feel like, to represent, I went to Willamette
Yeah, that's
University. You may
fine.
not have
It's
heard of it. But I feel like I have an opportunity and an obligation to represent some of the underrepresented schools in this debate. So just want to take a minute and say, Corbin University, go Warriors.
You're pretty happy with that.
Willamette University, go Bearcats.
All right.
Are they
Shemeketa,
playing?
go Bolts.
Who are they playing?
We just don't seem to have enough support for some of our local universities around here. So I see myself as the advocate for some of the underrepresented universities and
Throw
colleges
Western
here.
Oregon, Linfield, George Fox.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
all for
yeah,
'em. But
yeah,
this
yeah.
isn't their
Go
day.
Wolves, Western Oregon, go Wolves.
Oh, you had
yeah,
them?
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right.
George Fox, go Bruins.
All right, we're
Yeah, I
wasting-
have my list here, but you have a thing going, and
Wait.
I appreciate this.
Wait, I haven't even brought
I'm not
out the
against
big
that.
guns yet. I hope the TV's ready for that.
yeah.
Are you ready?
Oh, we're ready.
Look at this.
Yeah, look at that. Now,
All right, you need to close this.
No, because we have a commissioner-elect here who is also in uniform, and I think,
I like the potential.
yeah, I think you better introduce her and talk about how, this tradition's not going away.
Well,
You
I'm
know.
not gonna deal with it in the future, but Danielle is here, Bethel is here, and there'll be a different order. You'll be kind of blue sitting probably there.
Right. Well, I'll be
So-
the second vice, well, I
Yeah.
guess you have to vote.
So the
Who knows?
camera can kind of squeeze you out at the time next year. You might
Yeah.
remember that. Just kind of work on the important
Yeah,
people.
she's got the right tie,
All right.
too, yeah.
We're
I'm glad I'm here
we're
to.
wasting public time.
Well,
You
I'm
need to
just,
close this
I'm
meeting.
glad I'm here to kind of make sure there's some diversity in the room.
All right, fine. Oh,
Absolutely. It looks like Jan Fritz is elsewhere, so do you want to?
Oh, no.
Oh, you're going there,
No,
okay.
no, I'm happy to
okay.
sit right here, because I'm not quite prepared to be back there. But I just want to say that this is the first time in my life I've ever worn a tie.
oh, you look good.
And I wore this tie today because I'm a Beaver graduate.
Sure.
And to say to Commissioner Montano, I'm going to continue this tradition
Oh.
with Commissioner Cameron every year, as long as I can be back there. So,
There you go.
thanks for making this happen, and go Beavers.
Oh, don't-
Yes, Jim.
oh, yeah.
We can have a friendly war later, but.
You know what?
Go
I was
Bearcats,
just thinking,
you know?
it's like, I don't know where my mind goes sometimes. I've been watching my daughter do these bites with Breezy, Pampered Chef commercials. And she moved like 2 years ago to a new house and a new kitchen, and I was up in her new place, and I said to her last week, you don't know where I'm going here. I said to her last week, I go, every time I see that, I think of your old kitchen. I was thinking, now I realize you're in your new kitchen, but it's taken me 2 years to figure that out. I was just sitting here thinking, as Danielle came up, that next year there was going to be 3 of us up here with beaver ties on. And then I realized, no, you'll be gone. And it's still only going to be 2 of us. Unless you get some
He's got
influence.
hope. He's got hope for me. Look at that.
Yeah.
See, I even got the.
We can convert him.
Yeah,
We'll
he's
take
got
him
some
to
hope.
a game, get him a tie, maybe some suspenders. It'll be great.
I'm just not into civil wars. I'm sort of just against them on
It's not,
principle.
hey, shh, you're not.
It's
called-
not a civil war, it's a civil war. There's a very drastic difference in what we're talking about here. And although Oregon State University's football team definitely has not proven what it's capable of, we can talk about baseball and gymnastics any day with the Ducks, okay?
Yeah, well.
Wow.
Oh, well.
Yeah. Go Bearcats.
There's always next year.
Okay. With that, we're adjourned.
Music from Northwest artists. Let's welcome today's guest, Airport.